Aloha, everyone. Michelle Melendez with Blossom Inner Wellness and StandTogetherHawaii.com. And I wanted to do a video showing you 5 different geologists, meteorologists, climatologists. There's even a founder of the Weather Channel, 50-year-old meteorologist, a guy who worked for NASA, climatologist, MIT, professor of geology, and a professor of geology in Australia. I'm going to show you all these guys and have them explain their thoughts on global warming. Okay. And there's a reason why they're okay. Michelle, then why is the media saying global warming? Because there's an agenda. And the agenda is to get us in these smart cities, to get us in these smart cars, to take us, to have us not use fossil fuels, and to basically, if we weren't using fossil fuels, which there's numerous things besides your car using fossil fuels, and not only that, but if you really research the Tesla electric cars, you're actually paying way more for them, and they're actually worse for the environment than your car. So I really, really invite you to do some research on that. But it's because of control. Because if we were in electric cars and they take down the grid, they'll easily be able to stop our travel easily. And Michelle, why would they want to do that? Because the people who are running, you know what? I'm going to share that afterwards. So let me just start my screen share, and I'm going to show you Greg Braden first because he's my most favorite. And he is a geologist, and I can't remember how many years he's been a geologist, but he's numerous. Like, he's studied geology, and he's also a spiritual teacher, and he's sharing this graph with his friend. They're doing a talk. Now, I can't do a full screen, just so you know, because if I do, the share screen will stop. So here it is right here.
In geologic history. And what you're seeing on the far right is today. Now, our levels, are they higher than they have been in the last 100 years? Yes, they are. We're being led to believe that they have never been higher, that Earth is going to be destroyed if they are any higher, and we're being led to believe that these are driving temperatures higher than they've ever been, both of which are not true. So first of all, you can see carbon dioxide levels have been much higher. This is the black line you're seeing. Right. And I'm not sure if I'm moving our little pictures around, are you seeing that on your screen?
No, nothing's moving.
Okay, good, good. So I don't know if I'm blocking the image or not. But if you're looking, I mean, our carbon dioxide levels are actually very low compared to where they have been in geologic history.
Sure.
We go back into the Triassic period, for example. It's the purple right there between 200 and 250 million years. You can see it was much higher. The Devonian period, to the far left. One of the most, probably the best known eras in our past or periods is the Cretaceous period, right there.
Right, yeah.
It's in the green, 100 million years. So I want just to use this as an example. Those carbon dioxide levels were over 3 times higher than they are right now. They were up a little over 800, almost 1,000 parts per million for parts of that. What was the Cretaceous period like? It was an extreme greening on the earth. Forests emerged and new forms of life, a lot of flowering plants, for example, and large mammals. But look at this. When those CO2 levels dropped drastically, brought an end to the Cretaceous. And this is the danger, John, a lot of people aren't talking about. If Earth's CO2 levels drop below 184 parts per million, that seems to be the threshold where we're in trouble, because the forests of the Earth thrive on the CO2. We cut that CO2. If CO2 drops to those levels, we are actually cutting off the very life force that is providing the oxygen on the planet. So we don't want to do that. And the young people are not getting that message at all. So I think there's a way. Oh, go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
Well, there's a couple of things that need to be said about this. First of all, then this kind of information is extracted from the ice corings in the Blotstock in Antarctica and then in Greenland.
Right.
It's all of the information that they extracted was on this graph. What you would see is that the temperatures increase or decrease somewhere typically about 800 years before this carbon dioxide changes.
Right.
And what that means is the carbon dioxide does not drive the change; it is the response from the temperature change.
Have been on committees as
Yes. So if you all heard that, let me get my mic in here. If you all heard that, the carbon dioxide is the response. It doesn't cause the change. And plants breathe carbon dioxide. If we stop having carbon dioxide, if we lower our carbon footprint, we're going to kill our plants and then we die. So I hope that people are going, well, why is this happening? Well, why indeed? Why indeed? And that's probably another video. Here we go. I want to go to the MIT guy. This is the Boston Globe, and this is an MIT meteorologist, professor of meteorology. And make sure I'm going to bring up the speaker a little bit more.
If one asks about, is the temperature increasing or decreasing? It's always doing one or the other. I have no concern about that. By asking people to worry about whether it's going up or down, you're immediately establishing dishonesty. The earth is always changing. Climate change is nothing you have to prove. It always is happening. It always has happened. So to make that into something alarming seems to me a little bit weird.
A little bit weird. Yeah, a little weird. Let's go to 210 on him.
A Ban Ki-moon saying life as we know it will cease if we don't do something. What is he referring to? I don't know. I mean, man is adaptable. People retire to the Sun Belt, not to the Northwest Territory of Canada. Although catastrophes certainly occur, they have many causes, of which global warming is one of the least. There are so many interesting questions in climate. We still do not have a complete handle on why we had ice ages.
Yeah, I wanted to stop that because he says global warming is the least of our worries, right? Yeah, okay, so let's go to 442, and then I'll let it play along. And I'll have these links in the description for you guys. And they're actually also, all these videos are on standtogetherhawaii.com. And you can look at them all there as well and find so much more.
Predictions of disaster that are not connected clearly to warming or to our activities or to anything else. And leaving people with the thought that if the first part is true, the second part must be true. It is certainly not the case. And then to add insult to injury, to propose policies that would have nothing to do with any of it, but involve trillions of dollars and harm to many people, is, I think, crossing the line.
Crossing the line, I agree. This is Ian Plummer. He is, where is the, I have it, who he is. Because he's a geologist and a professor of geology for, I think it says. Anyway, I'll share with who he is at the end.
No one has ever shown
Doesn't come up.
that human emissions of carbon dioxide drive global warming. It's never been shown scientifically. And I have asked and asked and asked for this information. I've been searching the literature. I cannot find it. So the whole fundamentals are wrong. And if we look back in time, and as someone who does deal with history and archaeology and geology, we've never had a correlation between temperature and carbon dioxide. There's never been climate change driven by carbon dioxide. All we see is the exact opposite. And the opposite is we've had 6 great ice ages, each of which kicked off when we had more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere than now. So it's obvious carbon dioxide does not and cannot drive global warming.
So I wanted to pause it there, and I want to go to 219. 219.
about that, and the same with climate. We don't hear anything about the past. There's no recognition that history has something to say or geology has something to say. So the predictions are laughable, and a lot of these predictions get attention by predicting catastrophes like sea level rises or massive hurricanes. Now, Australia's got some really good examples of sea level rise. If we go around the east coast of Australia, we see a nick just under the base of cliffs, and that's where sea level was about 2 metres higher only 4,000 years ago.
Yes.
What's happened is that sea level has dropped since a global warm period about 4,000 to 6,000 years ago. We see it all the way around Australia. We've got jetties that have been there for a long while. I think Busselton in Western Australia has been there for 157 years. We've got Fort Denison in Sydney Harbour, which was built to stop a Russian naval invasion during the Crimean War. Well, it was finished after the Crimean War, but it did a good job. The Russian Navy's never invaded us. But the tidal measuring station there shows that there is a very, very, very slight sea level rise, but it could be due to something else. It could be due to Fort Denison sinking. And we see that at the Port Adelaide sea level measuring station.
Yes.
Where at Port Adelaide, we've got a pier where we've had sea level measuring, and the pier's been sinking. So obviously sea level's been going up. So when we measure sea level as a catastrophe, when we're all going to drown, we have to remember measuring stations move, land goes up and down, and sea level goes up and down. Now, a great example of that are the old beaches that are mined in New South Wales at Pooncarie, which is only 500 kilometres inland from where the beaches retreated to, and that was in Victoria. And we've got about 200 beaches all the way up to the Murray-Darling Basin. So that is due to either a sea level fall or a land level rise, and probably in the Murray-Darling Basin, probably both.
Yes.
So I look at this, and then I start to look at the implications of it. Okay, we're all going to die. We've got to stop emitting this food of life, which makes plants grow and makes crops grow, and we can feed more people. And I look at renewables, these wonderful bird and bat chomping machines that at the end of their life, which is really short, we don't know what to do with the waste. And so we just dump it. And this waste is dumped. There are highly toxic compounds in turbine blades, the same in solar panels. These are leaching into the water table. Now, if you were a factory or an agricultural enterprise or a mine and dump toxins like that, you will be strung up, but not so for our wonderful renewable industry who apparently hold the high moral ground. And we've had this grand betrayal that renewables were going to lower our electricity costs. They haven't. And just look at the way Germany or the UK or Texas or California have almost gone into complete blackout mode for long periods of time because the renewables didn't work. Now, it's funny that, I can see the sun starting to set here in Adelaide, and it seems to happen every day. So that means you only get about 8 hours of solar power. Clearly, you had backup. And we do have the backup, but it's never acknowledged.
Yes.
So I look at this grand betrayal of the renewables, and then I start to look at what we do with renewables, which are meant to give us excess energy. And this is meant to go into electric cars, and we store the extra renewable energy in batteries. Now, these electric cars are fabulous. We first had a hydrogen oxygen car in 1807. People first tried electric cars in 1839. We don't have them because they're too expensive.
Scott Morrison is really pushing them today. Like, that's his thing today. He's pushing the electric vehicles.
Well, I spend a lot of my time in Broken Hill. I'd like to see Scott Morrison come up and visit from his electorate. I can drive from Sydney to Broken Hill. It's only 1,300 kilometres. I can do it in a day. He would take 2 weeks and he would have no charging stations on the way. Plus, he'd have a really good chance of the electric car catching a light. Yes. And if it did catch a light, then these fires you can't put out. And these fires produce...
Catching a light means catching on fire.
Hydrofluoric acid. Now, hydrofluoric acid is so potent. It will dissolve rocks. It will dissolve glass. It will dissolve bricks. Electric vehicles are fabulous if they're subsidised. So now we have subsidised renewables, and they're supporting subsidised cars, And the next big con coming along is subsidised mega batteries, and we've already seen that big fire at Geelong.
Yes.
And the next big con coming along, just to take another slice of salami out of your pocket, is the massive push towards hydrogen. Now, to make hydrogen, you need to put.
I want to share this because Hawaii and everybody else, your government is pushing hydrogen energy, but listen to what he says.
More energy in than you get out than the hydrogen can produce. This is the second law of thermodynamics. Kids should know this from school. So we're using subsidised renewables to make an energy deficient process to give us hydrogen. That's not the worry. I mean, this is just a massive waste of taxpayers' money and the public pay for it. But the real problem with hydrogen is it's dangerous. Look at the Challenger explosion of January 1986.
I remember it very well.
And hydrogen is one of the most explosive substances around. And this is why I got interested in chemistry as a kid. We made hydrogen. We made these hydrogen balloons and blew them up, and you can take out windows, from 20 metres away very easily with one of these things.
Yes.
Now, if we're going to pipe hydrogen or have hydrogen cars or hydrogen-bearing vehicles such as trucks carrying it from one place to the other, God help us, because if there was an explosion, it is bigger than any petrochemical explosion, but it's also a wonderful opportunity for terrorists. A truck full of chlorine is great. A truck full of ammonium nitrate is great. A truck full of aviation fuel is great. But if you've got a truck full of hydrogen, you can take out half a city with this. It is incredibly explosive, and it leaks through solid metal. Jeez. And as it leaks through solid metal, it weakens it, and that metal can shear and break very easily. So I then asked the.
So I wanted to pause it there because I want to show you guys, especially if you're in Hawaii. Integrated Hawaii Pacific Hydrogen Hub completes full application for federal funding. The Hawaiian State Energy Official Office and its partners have submitted a full application to the U.S. Department of Energy's Clean Hydrogen Hub programs. Just want to read this real quick, and then I'll go to the next guy I want to show you. The Hawaii Pacific Hydrogen Hub authored 33 concept papers nationwide that was encouraged by the U.S. Department of Energy to apply for funding through the program. The agency has said it plans to choose 6 to 10 applicants to share a total of $7 billion available through the Inflation Reduction Act. I just laugh because all of these words, they do the exact opposite of what they say they're going to do. And so this is what's happening in Hawaii. With this is very dangerous that they're putting this through, and I'll share more afterwards. But let me go to the next information I wanted to share with you. I'm just going to let this first play because this man is 50 years as a geologist and meteorologist, and he's quite amazing.
David Dilley. Thank you, Tom, for having me on again. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm a former meteorologist, NOAA, National Weather Service, United States Air Force. Currently, senior researcher, meteorologist, climatologist at Global Weather Oscillations Incorporated. 50 years of experience in meteorology and climatology. So I'm going to be able to show you a few things. And working partner with International Hurricane Protection Association.
So I want to pause it there because I'm going to go forward to 132. Start there.
Climate section, we have some videos. First of all, global warming. What is global warming? Where does it come from? Let's just touch on it quickly. Global warming begins in the Arctic and Antarctic. About a 230-year cycle, global warming comes back again. When it comes back, it takes about 20 years for it to hit its peak. It started in the 1990s, hit its peak this past year. So global warming, what happens is the Antarctic and Arctic warm up. And as it warms up, you have less cold air available to filter southward into the mid-latitudes, and it warms the mid-latitudes. That is global warming. Well, global cooling also begins at the two poles. In 2022, the Arctic had the coldest spring and summer on record. Boy, can you have that during global warming? Coldest spring and summer on record. And I just checked what's going on up there now. And in April, they're again running below normal temperatures this year. So they'll probably have a cold spring, summer again. So the Arctic is cooling down. In 2021, the Antarctic had its coldest winter on record. Global warming, I'm telling you. So what happens? Okay, so we have cold air available, and that starts to filter southward, and eventually you have global cooling. It doesn't come on overnight. We get bits and pieces of it, like we did this winter, especially out on the West Coast. But it's like global warming. It takes about 15, 20 years for it to really get entrenched and hit its peak. So it's coming, and it's going to get worse and worse.
And now I want to go into 458 because he's going to show you this graph. Oh, sorry, everybody. I want to put this in so my voice is a little bit better. Okay. So I'm going to take you a little bit more forward,
because he's going to show you this a little bit deeper information about what's happening.
In Tom Nelson's podcast number 64, go back on that, and I detail everything about the carbon dioxide. And the findings were that since 1850, NOAA and IPCC says the rise in carbon dioxide is 100% fossil fuel. However, on the over on the right, in the green, my research using some peer-reviewed journal data and some of my own research shows that the rise is 80% natural. A peer-reviewed journal printed this past year by Stradel et al. They are 3 physicists, and they found a formula that separates the various isotopes, and their findings: rise in carbon dioxide is 80% natural. And then peer-reviewed data on plant stomata, 80% natural. So it is 80% natural. We're in a natural cycle on carbon dioxide, and it did not cause global warming. So let's take a look at global warming caused by natural cycles. Well, let's take a look at that. What we're going to look at is the Earth, Moon, Sun interactions. It is proven science. You can Google it for whatever you want. Milankovitch cycles of the Earth, Moon, Sun interactions. Electromagnetic cycles. Essentially, this is what it is. The Earth goes around the sun in an elliptical path. Every 120,000 years, the Earth becomes closest to the sun. And then about 60,000 years later, it's the furthest approach from the sun, greater distance. So the bottom half of this is all ice age, very cold due to less sunshine and also the tilt in our axis. Our closest approach was 8,000 years ago. We were warmer 6,000 to 8,000 years ago than we were today. The reason was we were the closest approach to the sun and came out of an ice age. We're 8,000 years off the peak now. We're actually cooling down.
So another geologist that shares how we're cooling down. Okay, I have one more for you guys. This guy's he's a character. He is John Coleman, the founder of the Weather Channel many years ago. And he's going to explain who he is, because he is a freaking badass. And I'll just let him explain who he is.
Hello there. You push the button, I guess, to download this video from the Coleman's Corner website or from YouTube. And here I am, John Coleman. Who am I? Well, I'm the weatherman on KUSI TV in San Diego, California. Most of you know that, but some of you who have followed a link to here or found me on YouTube don't know anything about me. I was the original weatherman on Good Morning America. That was back in the 1970s. I was the founder of the Weather Channel, the cable TV network. That was in the 1980s. And I've been interviewed on all the big shows all over the cable networks about global warming. I'm a scientist, a meteorologist who has spent over 60 years forecasting the weather every day. And I guess this represents my proudest moment in my career. In 1982, the American Meteorological Society, of which I was a professional member for many years, awarded me their certificate as the Broadcast Meteorologist of the Year. Later on, I got kind of disgusted with the political agenda of the American Meteorological Society and let my membership fade away. But I was very proud, certainly, to be named the Meteorologist of the Year among all the broadcast meteorologists in the nation at that time. Now,
so this guy is pretty. This guy's the man right here, and yeah. So I just wanted to share that.
Make something perfectly clear here. This is a wonderful planet we live on. I love it just as much as you do.
I want to kind of fast forward it a little bit, but I want to go into, let's see here. Wait. Oh, here. Oh, sorry. Let me back up a little bit.
On this occasion, we are being used by all sorts of people for their agendas, and what they're basing it on isn't so. And they're also promoting alternate energy. And by the way, that's costing us billions of dollars in our electric bill and billions of dollars in what we pay for gasoline, that is entirely based upon this anti-fossil fuel campaign. So these people are trying to make it seem that I take sides politically. I'm not interested in politics, that I'm anti-environmentalism. My goodness, I love the planet. And I promote all I can of protecting our climate. And they also think I'm in the payroll of the oil and gas interest. Not at all. I don't get a nickel from them. That's not my point. Now, look, they tell us that we have to turn off the lights on our civilization. And I love this advanced civilization. For thousands of years, the human species has improved itself and improved its civilization and created this wonderful environment. They want us to stop the exhaust from our cars, stop driving cars and trucks. They want us to stop flying on airplanes. They want to shut down the factories that make our smartphones. You want to give up your phone and our iPads and our television?
So I just want to pause in for a second, because I don't want to. I'm like looking at this thing all the time that I wanted to share you guys. I'm going to share this in the link, but oh yeah. Okay, wait a second. I just don't want to get censored by YouTube, because if I share too much of this and it's not my material, then I don't know if I'll get censored or not. But anyway, let me go, because I got to show you this one part. He talks about polar bears.
Times the power that we generate using fossil fuels.
You got to watch this whole
thing. So it has really increased our cost of living. And then they tell us, oh, we're killing off the polar bears. That's not true. We're not killing the polar bears. There are actually more polar bears living on planet Earth today than at any time since we've been counting them. And they also tell us, of course, that we're melting the polar ice caps. Oh, yeah? The Antarctic polar ice cap is at an all-time high. And the Arctic ice cap is increasing again after diminishing. They tell us, of course, that we're flooding the shorelines. Excuse me, do you live on the coast? How much does the water come up in your lifetime?
I live on the
They
coast.
manufacture data to make it look like we're increasing the water level of the oceans, but we're not.
Let me put this in really fast. So, Al Gore has an ocean home. Al Gore. Okay, there's a lot of celebrities, a lot of politicians that have ocean homes. Why would they buy an ocean home if they knew the sea level was going to go up? If you have an ocean home, what about your insurance company? I'm going to do a stop share just for right now. If you have an ocean home, what about your insurance? If they totally knew without a doubt that the ocean levels were going to rise and your home would be underwater in a few years, would they insure your house? No. So why is this happening, Michelle? Why is this going on then? I'm going to put a movie in the description that opened my eyes, and it's called Zeitgeist. It's about an hour, maybe I think it's a 2-hour movie. And
we don't live in the world we think we live in. We don't. You know, we were born and we're supposed to go to school, and there's a whole system of the way school is, with every hour bell rings and then you get up and you do this and then you do that and you have to have all these rules, and it's not the way the brain works. It's not how we're supposed to learn. And they were supposed to get a job, and most people hate their job, and they get into debt because they're thinking that debt is going to make them, or the big cars and houses are going to make them happy. But honestly, if you just downsize and you get rid of your debt and you just live more simply, you're going to be actually much more happier. But that's not what they teach us. They teach us the exact opposite. So, Michelle, who are they? Well, I'm not going to tell you. Look at Zeitgeist. Watch the movie. It's what I watched when I didn't believe any of this. I thought this was hokey pokey and those were crazy people. And then I watched this movie and I cried for 3 days. And I couldn't get out of bed. And then I was like, okay, now what do we do? Well, now is something to do. So I wanted to share this video. I do want to finish off with John because he has got some other great stuff. But again, all of these videos are not only in the description of this video, they're also on standtogetherhawaii.com. I'm creating a freedom school. And how you sign up for that is you just go to standtogetherhawaii.com. You click on join us here. I think it's a blue button in the upper right hand corner. Click on that, put your email in. You'll get in email information once I get that school started. But I'm going to be giving you guys more information on that. So let me just finish off with John, and I'll do another screen share, and then we'll be complete, everybody. Love you guys. Thanks for joining me here. 5:57. Hold on one second. Right, we'll go to 5:58.
We have determined, paleoclimatologists have determined, what the temperatures have been through the history. This goes back about 350,000 years. And we've alternated between ice ages and what we call interglacial periods, areas of warming. So there's an ice age, interglacial period, ice age, interglacial period. And these interglacial periods only last for about 20,000 years. Then we drop into an ice age for about 45, 50, 60,000 years. And here is our current interglacial period. We warmed up about 12,000 years ago. So which of these climates do you want? Do you want the ice age? You want the hot? What's your choice? Well, again, we just want it natural, not man-made. But you got to understand that even in the last 1,000 years or so, well, let's say the 12,000 since the last ice age ended, this is the end of the ice age here, temperatures have naturally gone up and down, up and down, up and down. Man didn't cause any of these changes. Our advanced civilization didn't begin on this chart till about here. And that last little rise, it's no different than these other rises above normal, but somehow we're being told that we are causing it, and it's going to be a huge, huge problem.
Okay, so I'm going to pause him there, and then there's one more part I'm going to show you, and it is 7:52, and I wanted to go to the end with this because it's good stuff, but we'll see, because I don't want to show too much of it. It's not my material.
Those extremes, we want nice climate. Well, here's your natural climate. Here's your ups and downs in temperature. And you can see all these are all natural. Here we come up to the area in which we've been using fossil fuels and putting carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And you can see a rise there, no different than the rise here, or the rise here, or the rise here, or the rise here. But they try to tell us. Why do they do that? They try to tell us that that is because of something we did. So all of these rises and falls are natural. And then they tell us that this last one is because we're bad boys and girls and we're using fossil fuels and creating CO2. So here's a chart that starts back at about the time we started using fossil fuels. And it does show temperature increase along with the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, the carbon dioxide being the red line here. It does show that, but let me show you something else that it shows. Back here, here's an area where the carbon dioxide, the red line, is coming up, but the temperature is actually falling. And that went on for about 30 years. And up here, starting right after World War II and running up till about 1980, a 40-year period, the carbon dioxide was rising as we industrialized our society and drove a lot of cars and trucks and airplanes. But look, temperatures held steady for that period of time. So there's one period where the carbon dioxide
So I'm gonna pause it there, and I'm gonna let you guys watch the rest in the description below. So this is crazy. It's really sad just to think that we don't live in the world we. Oh, let me put my mic in. You guys can hear me better. I get
reason for not wanting to believe anything other than the media. I understand it, you know, and wherever you're at, I totally honor you. And I hope that you look deeper, because what's happening is going to take all of us to really wake up to understanding that we live in an oligarchy, especially if you're in the United States. There are elites that have owned the politicians. In fact, I should have showed you guys, Jennifer Lawrence went in, she spoke with a group of college kids and shared how politicians literally need to raise like $40,000 a month or something in order for them to campaign. So they don't have our best interest at heart. They have who is paying them. So if we didn't have that type of money, you know, in the pockets of our politicians, if people just went in to serve for a short time and then leave, you know, and somebody else came in, that would be for the people. But as you have seen, especially here in Hawaii, with the numerous times that we've had thousands of people, you know, opposing or supporting a bill, and it goes the opposite way, there's something that needs to happen. And we can't just blindly believe the media. So I'm just going to share that, because I could stay on my soapbox, but I'm not going to do that. So what do? We believe in a higher power. We trust in our own inner guidance. We trust in what is our kuleana, what is ours to do. And we are kind to each other, and we love ourselves first, not ego-wise, but just love this body, this self that has gone through so much in this world. Only you know all the trauma that you've gone through with the relationships and experiences you've had. And it's been hard for every single one of us. So we have compassion and love for ourselves first. Like, just like you're on the airplane, you got to put your own oxygen on. So compassion, understanding, and love for yourself, then for other people. And it's really time to forgive yourself and to forgive others. If you are in anger with someone, in an argument with somebody, how can you find peace? How can you understand that that person has their own emotional trauma? And it's not easy, but that's where we're at. We're in a place where this is a spiritual expansion and a spiritual growth. And when you birth something new, there are labor pains. Even though I have a girlfriend who has no labor pain, who had birth and she had no labor pain. So she's way more enlightened than me, because I still have a lot of spiritual pains for sure that I'm going through. But that's where we start. We start with Ho'oponopono, which is, what is inside of me that I need to realign with the infinite source of love, the infinite source of love that is moving the sun and is raining right now, dropping the rain. What inside me is out of alignment that haven't forgiven myself for, haven't forgiven somebody else for? What is out of alignment inside me? Thank you so much, universe and world, for showing me that, so that I can integrate it back into the oneness, back into love that I am. I'm sorry that it's taken me so long to do that, to have that experience. So just sending you so much love and light from the Big Island. Please share this, like and subscribe. And I just send you so much compassion and love and inner strength for your own journey. Much aloha.